What if I told you that while aviation giants scramble to maintain their dominance in places like Dubai and Singapore, a small Caribbean island is quietly orchestrating one of the most audacious airport transformation projects on Earth? What if I revealed that this nation, better known for Bob Marley and Blue Mountain coffee, is about to fundamentally alter the balance of power in international aviation? The story you're about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about infrastructure development, economic strategy, and the raw ambition of a country determined to rewrite its destiny. Jamaica is not just building airports. Jamaica is weaponizing concrete and steel to launch an economic revolution that will send shockwaves through the entire Caribbean basin and beyond. This is the untold story of how 2.8 million people on an island smaller than Connecticut are deploying cutting-edge technology, billion-dollar investments, and strategic genius to transform themselves into the aviation powerhouse of the Americas. But here's what makes this story truly extraordinary. While the world watches established aviation hubs fight to maintain relevance in an increasingly competitive landscape, Jamaica has identified a massive blind spot that everyone else missed. They've discovered that the future of aviation isn't just about having the biggest terminals or the most runways. It's about creating an integrated ecosystem of connectivity that can adapt, evolve, and dominate in ways that traditional hub-and-spoke models simply cannot match. The numbers alone will stagger you. We're talking about a coordinated investment exceeding $700 million across multiple simultaneous megaprojects. But money is just the beginning. What Jamaica is really investing in is a technological leap that will position them decades ahead of their competition. Advanced biometric systems that can process passengers faster than any airport in North America. Solar infrastructure so sophisticated it could power small cities. Digital integration so seamless that the concept of waiting in line becomes obsolete. Yet the most remarkable aspect of this transformation isn't the technology or the money. It's the strategic brilliance behind the timing. While other nations struggled with pandemic recovery, Jamaica used the global disruption as cover to completely reimagine their aviation infrastructure from the ground up. They recognized that the post-pandemic world would demand entirely new standards of efficiency, safety, and passenger experience. So instead of rebuilding what was broken, they decided to build what the world would need next. Consider this shocking reality. Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston currently processes cargo worth over $2 billion annually, yet operates with infrastructure designed for a fraction of that volume. Sangster International in Montego Bay handles nearly 5 million passengers each year through facilities built when 2 million seemed optimistic. The economic potential being constrained by outdated infrastructure represents one of the most significant unrealized opportunities in the Western Hemisphere. Jamaica identified this bottleneck not as a problem, but as their greatest competitive advantage waiting to be unleashed. The implications stretch far beyond tourism and trade. Jamaica sits at the crossroads of the Americas, positioned perfectly between North and South America, with direct sight lines to both the Atlantic and Pacific shipping corridors. Their new aviation infrastructure isn't just about moving people and cargo more efficiently. It's about establishing Jamaica as the critical link in global supply chains that multinational corporations haven't even conceived yet. They're not just building for today's traffic patterns. They're building for economic realities that won't fully emerge for another decade. But perhaps the most audacious element of Jamaica's strategy is how they're funding this transformation. Instead of relying solely on government debt or foreign investment, they've pioneered a hybrid financing model that combines public resources, private partnerships, and innovative revenue streams that turn the airports themselves into profit centers. The new infrastructure isn't just designed to facilitate economic activity. It's designed to generate economic activity through cutting-edge retail concepts, premium service offerings, and technology licensing that could be exported to airports worldwide. The human drama behind this story is equally compelling. Airport workers who spent careers managing overcrowded, understaffed facilities are now training on systems that represent the absolute cutting edge of aviation technology. Local communities that struggled with the economic disruption of constant construction noise and traffic delays are discovering that they're sitting on the ground floor of what could become the most economically transformative infrastructure project in Jamaican history. International aviation analysts who initially dismissed Jamaica's ambitions as unrealistic are now scrambling to understand how a small island nation managed to assemble the technical expertise, financial resources, and political will necessary to execute such an ambitious vision. The answer reveals uncomfortable truths about how infrastructure development really works in the 21st century, and why conventional wisdom about airport expansion may be completely obsolete. Let's examine exactly what Jamaica is building, because the scope of these projects defies imagination. At Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, they're not just expanding terminals. They're creating what amounts to a completely integrated smart city designed around passenger flow, energy efficiency, and economic generation. The new East Concourse expansion adds 1,500 square meters of space, but that's merely the visible component of a much larger transformation. The real revolution lies in the digital infrastructure. Jamaica has partnered with technology companies to deploy biometric systems that can process passenger identification, security screening, and boarding passes through facial recognition technology, so advanced that the entire journey from curb to gate requires no physical documents whatsoever. Passengers will walk through checkpoints that automatically verify their identity, security status, and flight information faster than current systems can scan a barcode. But the technological integration goes far deeper. The airport's new baggage handling system uses artificial intelligence to predict and prevent delays before they occur. Smart sensors throughout the terminal monitor everything from crowd density to air quality, automatically adjusting lighting, temperature, and ventilation to optimize passenger comfort and energy efficiency. The result is an airport that doesn't just process travelers, it actively enhances their experience while reducing operational costs. The sustainability components are equally impressive. Jamaica's new solar infrastructure at Sangster International isn't just about reducing electricity bills. They're installing what amounts to one of the largest airport-based solar installations in the Caribbean, capable of generating enough clean energy to power the equivalent of 15,000 homes. But here's the genius part. The solar canopies that generate this power also provide weather protection for passengers, reducing the need for enclosed walkways, while creating distinctive architectural features that establish Jamaica's airports as visually iconic. The economic ripple effects are already becoming apparent, even with construction still underway. Property values within a 10-kilometer radius of Sangster International have increased by an average of 23% since the expansion project was announced. Local suppliers are reporting contract values they never imagined possible. Most significantly, international airlines are already requesting additional routes and increased frequency to take advantage of the expanded capacity and enhanced passenger experience. Meanwhile, in Kingston, the transformation of Norman Manley International Airport represents an even more strategically complex undertaking. The 300-meter runway extension might sound like a simple construction project, but it's actually a masterpiece of engineering that required solving problems most airports never face. The airport sits on a narrow strip of land between Kingston Harbor and the Caribbean Sea, with virtually no room for conventional expansion. The solution required innovation that pushes the boundaries of airport engineering. Instead of simply extending the runway into the sea, which would have been environmentally destructive and prohibitively expensive, Jamaica's engineers developed a land reclamation technique that actually improves the local marine ecosystem, while providing the foundation for expanded aviation operations. The new runway extension incorporates artificial reef structures that enhance fish habitats while providing the structural support necessary for heavy aircraft operations. The runway extension will allow Norman Manley International to accommodate aircraft types that have never been able to operate from Jamaica, opening direct flight possibilities to markets in Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe that were previously impossible due to fuel and range limitations. This isn't just about adding more flights. It's about fundamentally altering Jamaica's position in global trade networks. Cargo operations that currently require connections through Miami, New York, or London will be able to fly direct, reducing shipping times by days and costs by substantial margins. The passenger terminal modernization at Norman Manley International incorporates lessons learned from the most successful airport renovations worldwide, while addressing challenges unique to Caribbean operations. The new customs and immigration facilities use advanced screening technologies that can process international passengers 40% faster than existing systems, while maintaining enhanced security standards that exceed international requirements. But the most remarkable aspect of the Kingston Airport transformation is how it integrates with Jamaica's broader economic development strategy. The expanded cargo facilities aren't just designed to handle more freight. They're specifically engineered to support Jamaica's emerging manufacturing sectors, including pharmaceuticals, electronics assembly, and specialty agriculture processing. The airport is becoming not just a transportation hub, but a critical component of industrial development that could reshape Jamaica's entire economic profile. The most audacious component of Jamaica's aviation strategy is the planned construction of a completely new international airport near Negril, in the parish of Westmoreland. This isn't renovation or expansion. This is building a world-class international airport from scratch in a location specifically chosen to unlock economic potential that has remained untapped for decades. The numbers surrounding this project are staggering. The estimated investment of $460 million represents one of the largest single infrastructure projects in Jamaican history. But the economic impact projections suggest this investment could generate returns that dwarf the initial cost. Currently, over 43% of tourists arriving at Sangster International Airport are ultimately traveling to Negril and the western parishes. This means that nearly 2 million passengers annually endure a 2-hour drive after international flights, creating inefficiencies that cost the tourism industry millions of dollars in lost time, fuel consumption, and reduced visitor satisfaction. The new Westmoreland Airport will eliminate this bottleneck entirely, while creating opportunities for tourism development that simply don't exist under current infrastructure constraints. Negril's world-famous beaches and resort properties have been operating at capacity limitations imposed by transportation logistics. A dedicated international airport will allow the western parishes to accommodate tourism growth that could double or triple current levels without straining existing infrastructure. But the strategic implications extend far beyond tourism. The new airport's location provides unprecedented access to some of Jamaica's most promising agricultural regions. Specialty crops, including organic produce and exotic fruits, that command premium prices in North American and European markets, will have direct air cargo access for the first time. This could transform local agriculture from subsistence farming to export-oriented commercial production that generates substantial foreign currency earnings. The environmental design of the new airport incorporates sustainability features that exceed any comparable facility in the Caribbean. The terminal building uses passive cooling techniques that reduce air conditioning requirements by up to 60%. Rainwater collection and treatment systems provide complete water independence. Solar installations will generate more electricity than the airport consumes, with excess power feeding into the national grid. Perhaps most impressively, the airport's construction will actually improve local environmental conditions. The site preparation includes extensive reforestation that will plant more trees than are removed for construction. Natural drainage systems will reduce flood risks that have historically affected nearby communities. Wildlife corridors will maintain animal migration patterns that could be disrupted by less thoughtful development. The social impact of these airport projects extends into communities across Jamaica in ways that most infrastructure development never achieves. Local employment during construction phases provides immediate economic benefits, but the long-term effects are far more significant. Each of these airports requires specialized technical staff for operations, maintenance, and management. Jamaica has partnered with international aviation training organizations to ensure that local workers have access to world-class education in airport operations, air traffic control, and aviation maintenance. The result is a workforce development program that doesn't just fill jobs, but creates career pathways that previously required emigration to pursue. Young Jamaicans who might have left the island to work in aviation are now finding opportunities that match or exceed what they could achieve abroad. This brain drain reversal represents a crucial component of Jamaica's long-term economic strategy. International recognition of Jamaica's aviation transformation is already reshaping the country's global profile. The International Civil Aviation Organization has designated Jamaica as a case study for sustainable airport development in small island developing states. Aviation industry publications are featuring Jamaica's projects as examples of innovative financing and technical integration. Most importantly, international airlines are taking notice. Major carriers that never considered Jamaica as a hub location are now conducting feasibility studies for regional operations based out of the upgraded facilities. The combination of enhanced technical capabilities, improved passenger experience, and strategic geographic positioning makes Jamaica increasingly attractive for airlines looking to expand Caribbean and Latin American routes. The competitive implications are profound. Traditional Caribbean aviation hubs like Barbados, Trinidad, and the Dominican Republic are scrambling to respond to Jamaica's infrastructure advantage. What started as a national development project is becoming a regional arms race that will ultimately benefit travelers and businesses throughout the Caribbean basin. Yet the most significant aspect of Jamaica's aviation transformation may be what it reveals about infrastructure development in the modern economy. Traditional models assumed that small countries could compete by finding niche markets or specializing in specific industries. Jamaica's strategy suggests a different approach. By building infrastructure that exceeds the requirements of their current economy, they're creating the foundation for economic opportunities that don't yet exist. This forward-looking approach requires enormous confidence and sophisticated planning. Jamaica's aviation projects aren't just serving existing demand. They're creating the capacity necessary to pursue economic strategies that would be impossible under current infrastructure constraints. It's a bold gamble that the future will reward countries that prepare for opportunities rather than simply responding to immediate needs. The timeline for these transformations is remarkably aggressive. Major components of the Sangster International expansion are already operational, with passenger feedback exceeding all expectations. The Norman Manley International Runway extension is scheduled for completion by mid-2027, with terminal modernization happening simultaneously. The new Westmoreland Airport has moved from planning to active development, with construction potentially beginning as early as 2025. This rapid execution reflects years of preparation that most observers never recognized was happening. While other countries debated infrastructure priorities and struggled with financing mechanisms, Jamaica was quietly assembling the technical expertise, regulatory approvals, and financial partnerships necessary to move from planning to implementation faster than anyone thought possible. The coordination required to execute multiple complex airport projects simultaneously would challenge much larger countries with more extensive resources. Jamaica's success reveals sophisticated project management capabilities and institutional capacity that redefines international perceptions of what small island nations can achieve. As these projects near completion, their impact on Jamaica's economic trajectory is becoming undeniable. Tourism arrivals are increasing at rates that exceed regional averages, with visitor satisfaction scores reaching historic highs even as construction continues. International trade volumes are growing as businesses recognize the enhanced logistics capabilities. Foreign direct investment is flowing into sectors that previously struggled to attract international attention. But perhaps the most remarkable outcome is how Jamaica's aviation transformation is inspiring similar ambitions across the developing world. Small countries that previously assumed infrastructure limitations were permanent constraints are studying Jamaica's model for lessons that might apply to their own development challenges. The story of Jamaica's aviation revolution is ultimately about the power of strategic vision combined with flawless execution. It demonstrates that in the modern global economy, geographic size and traditional resource advantages matter far less than the ability to identify opportunities, mobilize resources, and execute complex projects that create lasting competitive advantages. What Jamaica has accomplished challenges fundamental assumptions about economic development, infrastructure financing, and the possibilities available to small countries willing to think beyond conventional limitations. Their airport projects represent more than construction achievements. They represent a masterclass in how visionary leadership, technical excellence, and strategic thinking can transform national destiny. As you watch this transformation unfold over the coming years, remember that you witnessed the moment when a small Caribbean island decided to compete with the world's aviation giants, and won. Jamaica's airports aren't just getting bigger or more modern. They're becoming the foundation for economic possibilities that will reshape the Caribbean and establish new models for how countries can build their way to prosperity in the 21st century. The concrete is still being poured, the technology is still being installed, and the economic impacts are still unfolding. But make no mistake about what you're witnessing. This is history being written in real time, one runway extension and one biometric gate at a time. Jamaica isn't just building airports. Jamaica is building the future.